welcome to another World of Sasquatch. Today is 18/24. Chad just pointed out it was 9:09 on 9, which is 18th. So here comes the nines again. So I find this interesting because this is the last recording we're doing like this on Spirit Lake, and it's very peaceful out here. The only creepy I may have seen in the morning was like this weird face looking at me this morning, and I got rid of it, and the forest people said, yeah, whatever it was kind of dickish, but it wasn't that big a deal. But probably some elemental wanting to harass. Sometimes they do it. It wasn't a whole big deal. But in this instance, this is going to focus on one of their elders. And I got a name a moment ago. He's an elder squatch, grayish color with some black in there, kind of salt and peppery looking. Has really long hair. And he looks kind of like an old grandfatherly figure. Duh. Okay. Because I'm a grandfather. Okay. That would be why. But I can see where the brothers get their sass from. Yeah, I know. Sasquatch. Yeah, I know. Joke. But his name is Segran. Segran. Close enough. He is the grandfather figure they were referring to. So they said they had a surprise for me, and they'd have somebody new. They're like, in this case, he's older than dirt. So, older than you. Okay. So I would take it that you're quite old, though. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay, don't sneeze. Okay. Okay, now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. Now, this is going to be very interesting. This may focus on that time frame in history a little bit. Then we have a couple questions. Well, there's one thing they wanted to point out, the forest people as a whole. It's your cat, Chad, Chauncey. They communicate with him, and the fact that he's also they nicknamed him Prince Chauncey. They're pointing out that there was a synchronicity in there that we were missing. It's Prince, like Ida's dog, Prince, and then Chauncey, like Winston's middle name. So, they were pointing. There was a unity synchronicity there. And Winston always communicated with the forest people in Prescott. He always walked to the one corner window, and Fuma and them would always communicate with him. He'd just kind of wander off, and he loved the forest people. So that was kind of a synchronicity when they said Prince Chauncey, knowing that you also called him that, and Lord Chauncey and all that other stuff. But he communicates Chauncey. He's not in here, but he's a yellow-colored cat. He's the same blondish color as Brayon, the forest person, is. A little darker, with maybe a little orange in there, but not like, no, Isaac, not like Morris. He's orange. Okay, let me see. He's colorblind, but anyway, okay. I was kind of hoping he'd be in here on camera, but nope. They had me wear the forest people shirt. They saw I brought it with me, and they were like, for this last day, you'll wear us. And so, okay. You don't have to look like a what's the word they're trying to come up with? An imam or something like that. What they meant with the other shirts. So, an imam is a Muslim priest. You know that, right? Okay. But, yes, we do. Okay. Segran. Hang on. Let me see here. He said, drink your green materials and we'll be done. Okay. All right. Which is perfectly fine. It says there's no crud in it, so. But, situate here. Okay. Segran. Okay. Oh, it's my turn now. Okay, you're done adjusting. Okay. He has a walking stick too that has like this gnarled end on it that has like this little wooden ball on it and everything. It's not wood. Okay. It's a crystal. Okay. Old tech. From the time before time. Yes. Okay. Alright. Not likely, I just heard Crumb said. I got you beat by a few million years. Alright. Ooh. Something heavy, guys. Can we... Thank you. I felt the pressure here. So. You know, it's coming from the tech there. Oh, we come around this way, yeah. By the painting here. Yeah. Give me a second. Somebody angry that we're communicating, you know. Who's this? Alright, thank you. Excuse the interruptions. Believe the word you would use is interloper. This would be who you encountered last evening, trying to shove his way in. Looks pretty good for a dead person. That may have sounded like a joke. I will let you think that. We do not tolerate interloping or invasion of any kind. No matter what the agenda. Give me a second. Just because you were around in the time before does not mean you have have a voice now. Our turf. Now, this is interesting because I rarely, if ever, speak. Just like I know the one you know named Sufas in the southwest. Well, the elders talk quite often. He sends his regards as the leader of that community and Fuma's grandfather. Do not worry, we have subdued the obnoxiousness. Give it a second. Okay, yeah. Oh, you have to stand close. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Now, I am... The channel's wiggly, hang on. Figure out. Okay, channel's kind of wiggly, give me a second. Forgive. Interruption. Now, putting my staff into the ground here. I was alive at the times of the last fall of Atlantis, or the previous fall, I shouldn't say last. I and my people occupied this area. Excuse, somebody was messing with the vocal. At the times of Atlantis. At that time, when the continent was overrun, was roughly 9,700 BC, you would say. I'm actually slightly older than that, by quite a bit. Roughly 20,000 of your years. Not all the line ages that far. Yes, I have the Anakam lineage of the original Sasquatch progenitors that were both from space and Earth. But at this point, my sons and grandsons probably will not hit that same advanced stage. No insult intended to them, but there has been other DNA that has gotten in there, and also some age stunting of their own, sort of. I say sort of because I myself did not do this. Now, they are descendant lineages themselves that were born here. My job at the time was negotiating with some of the tribes of Atlantis and Lemuria. Most of the forest people you've ever heard of tend to come from the Lemurian end of the spectrum. You know, you have your Samoan-looking types, with the no-neck types, as some call it. I have a mix, as do my grandsons, of Scandinavian as well. That puts Atlantis in our mix. That's why we look slightly different. I myself would look like a Viking elder with a ton of hair. Yes, Isaac, a Viking with a glandular problem, I understand. But this is where we get some of our language. I'm actually not speaking English. I'm speaking an old Norse-sounding derivative, or Futhar type derivative. Very similar to that of Crohn's language. Now, this is why there's a translation error. Because if the brain gets messed up and it's decoding, encoding, the words don't come out right. Now, in the here and now, what do? You would say, govern this area. And the area of Spirit Lake. You would say I'm kind of a king? More of a tribal leader. There are other tribal leaders in this area. I took this one because of the PowerPoint. Others also take others because of PowerPoints. There's multiple ones in your state. Your Outer Banks also contain one of these. In the area where you go to often, you, Joanna, and Christopher, there is a spot there. It is not being recognized as such. It's around the Wright Brothers Monument area. Roughly in that area. It has not been recognized as such. Now, this area, as my grandson so eloquently put it, gets its balls scratched by the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, I can say, yeah, in young person vernacular. Alright. They're the equivalent of an adolescent, or you would say Beavis and Butthead era. Which, alright. Now, I will not babble on, no pun intended, not too much, but we can go into some questions if you like.
Yes. I question if Sigron is the elder here and in charge, then 2 days ago when Christopher encountered the dark entity that was near the power point on this property, were you aware of that dark entity, and was that entity a part of the guardianship of this property? If so, how are we doing by deleting that dark entity? Was that part of the weaponry, so to speak, spiritual weaponry of the property, or was this something that needed to go? Yes, humans were afraid of this entity and deterred by it, but how about higher evolved space people and so forth? How is that going down?
Lichen entities tend to be very feral in their application. Yes, they would keep other negativity away. They would scare the crap out of anyone. But they would also scare the crap out of people you want here. The natives, it was born of hatred, like my grandsons put it. Was it doing a job? Sure. But was it also a detriment to getting things going at the same time? Because those natives didn't want anyone here. Yes. So, it may have seemed, this is one of those things that applied in the time frame in which it was created, seemed like a good idea. But it's soon after, or not so soon to me. You know, ages go by when you tend to be 20,000 years old. But, it's a blur at that point. But, it tends to get in the way. So, with that, I would have to say no, it's a bad thing. But we can create little illusions here to keep away the interlopers. Now, that entity would have made things worse and brought other things in, like the two men you said wanted to do some BDSM crapola here. It would have drawn that. Because it was born of a hatred. Now, in certain situations, certain angers and hatreds are focused to be able to defend, a warrior. Different. This was more out of spite, as a defensive spite. Think of a program, like say if you took an AI and programmed it to defend with weapons or cameras or whatnot. Like if you programmed cameras to watch a site, or if you programmed guns to defend a site. It was very much like that, but with a particular prejudice against certain family lines, skin color, the rather bigoted or racist. So that would have not worked. Now if you create one with the correct intentions, we have done the same before, and we can do it again. It then guards the property. Very much like an automaton, like you have your robot Talos that guarded the Isle of Crete, or those C-3PO robots, on Malta looking type of thing. Or Njord of Vanaheim in your Norse mythology, which is Venus, by the way. Your 9 planets, 9 realms. And so that is actually perfectly fine. Or like in your Elder Scrolls, the automatons that are like Njord that guard the Dwarven site. Different. They thought it was similar, but it had a certain, let's say, programming error that would not have been beneficial to any of you, or anyone wanting to come in and use the property properly. It would have drawn in other things, which would have been counterintuitive, counterproductive to originally even the natives at the time. So it is good that it has been deleted at this time.
Well, good. Will you be helping to create a new defense system, so to speak, on this property? Because I consider you the grandfather, leader, guardian of this property. I am a caretaker and co-creator with you of this property, I feel, and protector of this PowerPoint. So your wisdom and cooperation, or my cooperation with you, I feel is rather essential to do what the Spirit Lake interstellar life camp wishes to do here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, we are helping create a defense system. We also had you draw them in for part of that reason as well. And so, no offense, we are not using people as chess pieces or tools or things of that nature. That's for other hedge betting races to do. We do not like that particular technique. But, yes, my grandsons keep calling me a dirt elder. Because, like, older than dirt, they keep saying hashtag dirt elder. So, but they keep pointing, he's the new dirt elder, meaning you. So, they're messing around. But in all seriousness, though, you have been around our people quite a bit in some other expressions. Yes, you had your lizard expression as well, but you've incarnated as our people as well. And also, that was said, you were in this area as a native, in this area as various lifetimes where you're caretaking this area. Which is still true. Also, in multiple realities, you've taken up that role, in dimensional states as well. So this, you can say it's a bleed through from other timelines, but that's not completely accurate. You are doing this land good, doing this land justice, cleaning up the denigrated energies, and don't mind the occasional elemental that looks like gnarled tree branches that come in here. They're merely curious, but they tend to be very abrasive in their application of that communication. And if there's something slightly out of whack, they tend to be slightly aggressive. And don't mind the brownies either. They tend to be very anal retentive. So, like the Dobby house elf concept we were talking about before. Other than that, if you can put up with them, everything's fine. And also your little elusive fairies, they're starting to build in this area. Wind chimes will bring them in. This is assured. They love wind chimes. They love things that blow in the wind. What I will say, what they do not like are certain poison types, though. They will be repelled by this. Same thing with Ben Orkfoil's people. He was a leaf type of elemental that is in charge of the decay and rebirth of nature. So in future reference, if you can refrain from using weed killer, that would please those beings. But we understand your usage. But now, and bugs of course, but because they annoy us too. Trust me, we can walk amongst them and we're perfectly okay. We just find them annoying because they get in our eyes. But other than that, we don't actually get bit. Our hair is too thick, and so they can't get through. We have in our hair, we have some little fibers like you have in your mucous membranes in your nose, where you have the hairs that are the filter kind of thing, against boogers and the like for your sinus cavity. It's kind of similar with our hair. That was, since we've been outside, it formed a filtration system. We can also control things through vocals, like you hear us go "Hurrah," and open portals, things of that nature. And we can tune doorways and portals that same way. And we can travel quantumly. Some of our younger crowd are more in your frequency wavelength, like how you are now. You may see a couple of them from time to time, kind of wandering in here. You may also hear a rock from time to time hit your glass or your roof or something. That's usually us saying hello. And you may see stick glyphs from time to time. There are locals that communicate in that type of way as well. And you may see stick figure type formations and such, or broken branches and the like. This also is telling other entities, stay out. If you see X's pop up, usually that's a stop sign for humans not coming to our territory. We're slightly changing that connotation for here. You may see broken branches, which denote territorial property line. The tops of trees, when they bend down like this, like the top of a one, it's like this, or tree structure types. Usually that was from the old Sasquatch, or they called the Bigfoot Wars, the natives do, when there was a skirmish between my people and the Native American peoples, when some children got abducted, and they blamed the forest people, and it started this big aggressive war. It's like last night there was some anxiety and aggression building from the targeting. It was the same difference. And it caused a conflict, and it caused my people to be put in territories like reservations. Not unlike that, but then eventually later on, the shit cycle continued where the natives were put on reservations, you see. So, by the white man. So, the cycle keeps continuing until you break that and form unity. It bleeds through from generation to generation, just like the damage from Atlantis and Lemuria. It bleeds through until you correct it, until the history is known. It's, if you do not know your history, you're condemned to, those who don't know who their history are condemned to repeat it. So, this is where I'm at with that.
Well, good. As you know, the focal word for Spirit Lake, as was channeled to me through the Spirit Lake poem in 2000, is the word unity, which you just mentioned. And that is something that I seek to work out with the forest people, to let you people know that I am here with you, not to overpower you or throw your balance out. So I appreciate your input and I appreciate your protection. Also, the portal here and the is it a PowerPoint or whatever? I appreciate your guardianship of that and information on how to use it for the focal word of this place, which is unity. Not to abuse that power, but to use it, for the good of us all, and not have it siphoned off by entities that would just, steal the energy and do away with it. That's something we want to avoid.
Yes. For one, what do you mean by you people? That's a joke. Secondly, you are correct. We do not wish these entities, or like I said, interloper in the beginning, to come in and fuel on the, you would say anomaly, but it's inaccurate. Anomalous tends to mean weird, I suppose in its good connotation, weird, but or anomalous or an anomaly. Anomaly can be good because, or a wild card can be good. In this case, it was more of a planned wild card or planned type of setting, or anomalous type setting, where this unity can continue on, where this unity can flourish. You creating this property, even though Spirit Lake started out as a construct, but did not the Earth construct things in a similar way over longer periods of time? And also, as was said before, these are, what you're doing is mimicking what happened in the ages before there was water in this area. As we've said, like it starts to flood a little bit because this was a marshland. So, yeah, you making the drainage will work quite nicely and drain those bloody mosquitoes away from here. At least some of them. Yes, and he suggests powdered shungite. That would be awesome. To put in the water, that would keep it cleansed enough to where there would be less of those little buggers. So, we respect all life on this planet. It does not mean that we would fill our homes full of those little bugs. So, having a respect for nature doesn't mean that you're going to be enveloped by some of the creepier aspects of it. Just like you wouldn't want them in your house. So, with that said, the energy of this property is as such to where communications like this could take place often, but as my grandsons put it, and it's not with anyone, and it is not to insult people. We agree with Benevolent Odin's precept of tighter circle, deeper roots. Tighter circle, deeper roots. Excuse the stuttering. The precept of this is you build a firm foundation out from the center, and in millimeters and centimeters, as he says, make a permanent change. We are not opposed to, say, conventions. We are not opposed to gatherings of any kind. Especially teaching the children these ways. We try to teach our young people some of these ways, and it's very similar to how you do. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they do not. But, with that said, the unity on this land would be awesome to have people of like mind and like heart, like soul, come about here. Very much like the convention you were at in Florida, the Disclosure Now 2024 one. Similar to this, but you say you have channelers. Limit. And again, not meant as an insult. We believe as he believes, that you have to vet. And we are, as he would say, anal retentive about this. And quite justifiably so, given what you heard in the area. When you crossed the threshold last night, you saw there was a distinct energetic change. Yes, that is our doing, but that is also your doing. All three of you. But you as the caretaker, that is also you holding the space. Now, one request I will put out there is if you have areas where there's junk or something that isn't constructed yet, finish this precept because, or this construct, because behind those you could trap, very much like in the house, you have dust bunnies that get trapped in the corner or under a bed or under a shelf or what have you, in a corner, behind a couch, wherever. This buildup could open conduits that could attract ghouls or attract some other creepy thing. The ghouls are like Neanderthal hunter types, and they would try to come in here and mess with the animals and stuff, and take their energy and stuff. But those areas are, to say demon magnet is too strong. It would be more like stagnant energy. He said demon magnet in the past. That's not completely accurate. It is more of a stagnant energy. A flow is necessary. And also, with the element of fire, even though we couldn't do that this time, that is important as well. Having a not only flowing water, but roaring fire going, you see. And also piles of things that are decaying as well. The Elusi fairies tend not to like that. They're picky about decaying things. Because in piles like that, with the piles of sticks and wood and whatnot, it tends to create this heat that's in the center of a really trapped decay energy, and some dead animals got in there as well, where it will create this putrefaction on the plant at an energetic level. They're not too keen on that. But that's them. We're fine with that, because we know, limitations of getting rid of things and stuff. But there's some groups are pickier. But me, as being the overseer, or you would say governor or leader, tribal leader, we are perfectly fine. Just the only thing we ask is that any pile or any uncreated things, that you complete the creation thereof, like your woodshed or the anything that's not constructed, and also your art pieces, also metal art pieces. Like if you want to create, like say out of those cog wheels, for instance, if you want to create like dream catchers or whatnot, things that hang outside, any of these things, like the metal coils that hang on the pillar here, things of that nature would be interesting as well.
Good. I assume that your people, using the word loosely, also appreciate art and music.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, we appreciate art and music, and some of our young people listen to the same stuff you guys do. Like they'll hover around other young people that are listening to things that they like, and different music will draw in different beings too.
Right.
And different, you have the negative codes of the binary network, but all the binary network garbage aside, you have different music will draw in different beings. Like say for example you play native flute music, or like what you were playing last night, you'll draw in our people and some native spirits as well. If you say you have bagpipe, you'll draw in, or Norse, like Scandinavian types, you'll draw in Viking spirits, Asgardian, and Scottish warrior types. It just depends what you're playing. And sometimes you may not draw anything at all, but a nature spirit, like Fae, that want to listen to it. Anything that is really fast vibration like that. Some of them, even the young people, don't really, in our group, don't care if it's, say, heavy metal, as long as there's joy behind somebody who listens. That means there's no difference between. You have also your horror movies, which we don't really give a crap, but as long as somebody took joy in making it, there isn't a preset. I would recommend a ward there, write a word so you don't conjure. He would say there was one made in Japan where some jinn thought it was a real ceremony going on. Sometimes they're stupid and you have to specify. The same goes with some of the music, but is it the work of Satan? No. Bad precept there, bad idea. But as long as joy and balance went into creating it, it does not necessarily matter overall. But with the music, play all the music you like here. Even if you had an event here, Definitely have music going in the background. This would help out greatly.
Awesome. Another thought. I have had three individuals, at least, who I consider very close friends, walk this property since I began, I will say, reconfiguring it to create Spirit Lake. Do any of those three souls who have crossed over since, they have walked here, do they frequent this property and or inhabit this property? Actually, four souls I can think of.
Yes and no. They're not ghosts. I mean, you got rid of the ghosts that were on the property, which is appreciated. Because there was a lot of pain and torment there. But, yes, they look into it from spirit. True benevolent spirit does come in here, the higher tiers, as he would say, not the lower, as he says, Beetlejuice layer of spirit, where some family members dictate to family lines and stuff like that in their own idyllic afterlife pockets. No. The where your friends are in more of a synchronistic level, where if they communicate, it's more in synchronicities, and they do come about here. This is a place of high energy, so yes, you would have true benevolent spirit show up here, and yes, they do frequent. Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the spirit named Cleve that crossed over 5-6 years ago or so from the next door cabin that I feel that I communicate with? He is an elder in the human race, and I feel that he is a friend of Spirit Lake. Do you have any communication with him?
Yes. He is definitely communicating with you. He is quite often, actually. He may come through in forms of creativity as well. He actually, as you mentioned his name, he is listening currently. So yes, he hangs out in that area. I shouldn't say hangs out. His ghost did for some time, but he moved on his own, and now he's one of those that comes and goes from here.
Right. Okay. Another question. The jab program that was introduced worldwide against many people's will, how is that affecting your people?
The shedding is quite obnoxious. The intention behind that and your chemtrailing and whatnot was also to hurt and harm others than just humans. Your dogman is unfortunately susceptible. There was a virus that was given to them to kind of zombify them and turn them into creepy crawlies. Their genome has been the most abused on this planet because you have secret space program operatives that are werewolf soldier types, and also those that conduct false flags in some of the videos YouTube have seen, on other streaming networks where there are werewolf soldiers that appear. Yes. They take the werewolf genome and the vampire genome, and they sometimes mix them, and they sometimes will create soldiers like School the Cat, School the Wolf, like you see in your Witcher. Those were super soldiers with the mutagens with different powers. They will give the power of the wolf and the power of the cat. Werecat. There are werecats too, where they will add the genome to a super soldier so they can survive on different planets. With the werewolf lycanthropy. Just like was shown he says in your Batman the Animated TV series, somebody invents a werewolf mutagen and uses it as a performance-enhancing drug on an athlete. And this athlete begins to have wolf tendencies, and this guy goes, partial lycanthropy can't be cured, but full lycanthropy can, which is true. This scientist that was in it was representing how the programs are. When they started doing this, they created other wolf soldiers that sometimes are mistaken for your dogmen. There's also a painting that was created years ago where you see dogmen driving tanks and flying planes and whatnot. This was an agenda very much like your Denver airport, where it was depicting a cabal agenda. that picture represented a plan of doing a false flag event with some dogs. They were trying bugs for the false alien event. None of these are going to take place. But with the jab, the dog men unfortunately were affected more because the projects got a hold of their DNA more. They've gotten a hold of ours a little bit, but not to the extent as the dog man. Our people, with the jab and the shedding, it does affect, but we have the ability to repel it easier, and we are assisting some of the dogman tribes with this calamity they find themselves in, this horror show they find themselves in. Now, with other beings, during the times, and you notice this in Sedona as well, being there, some of the elementals were pretty much afraid of that time frame. With justifiably so. It was pumped into the air and also activated with your 5G. And also the Jabberwocky, as you call it, which I find that ironic, because the Jabberwocky was more of a reptilian form, ish, dragon-ish, but not to insult the dragon. There's one by the name of David that's on your property here. He calls himself that. That's not his name, but anyway, he eats things that comes onto the property that we tend to not like. So, no, you don't get to disappear bad humans either. So no, he's like, so anyway, he's like Bob was for the Serata. He's just hanging out. He's a fairly large medieval fantasy-looking dragon that's part of the land here. Titan. They're a Titan type as well, along with your Lady of the Lake. Anyway, the chemtrails are fairly intrusive. If you see wavy lines on the ground, some of our people are trying to warn other forest people that there's a chemtrailing about to start, and they're trying to warn your people as well. If you see the wavy lines, they don't always mean water. They mean sky. They're reflecting what's above, and they're telling others to take cover. The chemical intrusions are bad. The only reason we kind of let slide a little bit, of course, your mosquito sprays, because we don't like mosquitoes. And it's not really that intrusive to us. Roundup and weed killer would be also to the Fae as well. That's why we warned you about that, because it stops the cycle of decay and rebirth. But with chemtrails, there's different things that go into these. It's not just barium, strontium, and aluminum. They will put nanotech in them. They like smart dust. They will rain down mind control chemicals on people. Very much like he likes to say in that SpongeBob episode you saw, where that chemical cloud makes everybody stupid. That's the second. He likes to say that's the second delivery method of the dumbing. We find that funny. Even though that is saying dumb and stupid and smart, it's a have and have not. But where you had the plankton guy taking the stupid person's Patrick Starr's DNA and making a dumb virus type, basically, and that's the Jabberwocky, and that's we'll just say the other green virus. Let's just say the insectoid garbage, the glow. We'll just say the glow bug virus and be done with it, so we don't get you flagged. But in this particular way, these things are creepy to us, but we can manage. It's humans that are slightly more susceptible, but with toxin-wise, like say sugars, food toxins, this is where we get harmed. Things we would ingest, like if people would leave donuts for us and stuff like that. It's the GMO toxins that harm us the most, especially in your white sugars. This is why I would not recommend it for your kind either. We get addicted to it, you get addicted to it. We can be killed by it the same way as you, just slightly faster. Especially if you're existing in a particular frequency, you would think we would be able to transmute it to another one. Some in your meats as well. This is where he ran into a conundrum where I'm not saying don't eat meat. That's wrong. It depends on the body type of what you need. Like he said, someone died of diverticulitis and still ate nuts and berries until she passed. Wrong. You have to. That's an indoctrinated belief system. That's the dumbing, mind control, and also the chemical control. Like he said, it's synchronized when he watched the SpongeBob, and it was the second Nickelodeon channel saying the second delivery system. The first one is your frequency waves pushing it. We also are susceptible to. Well, I suppose this falls into the food category, like drinks. And that if we get nanos within us, they aren't hard to purge. They're just annoying to purge. But it's actually more the chemical intrusion, like your sugars, like some of the other things in chemtrails. You have viruses that drop from that. You even have one that actually makes people fat. It's a virus that's out there. He calls it the fat virus. That was delivered by chemtrails and fortified in your 60s with the binary network. It was actually the frequencies are not only telling people they have to be slow, fat, and dumb, which before that they really weren't. It was 64 at the World's Fair when that was activated. But they're activating a virus that makes people slow and fat, and it's also engineered into the food to reinforce this. It creates a chemical within the system, other galactics in your system that other galactics mine and self-farm, very much like your Jabberwocky that created the spike protein. It was also harvested. People use you as farms. I would suggest to people listening to this, do not allow this. Just put your foot down. You are now made aware that these things are going on. He compares it to an elephant pooping the coffee beans out and ferments it in its gut, and you have the fermented coffee bean. It's the same process that aliens use people for. But to go back to your original query, there's not much more we are susceptible to. Are we susceptible to some of your viruses like colds and stuff like that? We do get them, but it is more or less, no insult intended to humans, we had more time to evolve in the environment and bond with nature. Therefore, some of those things are just not a thing for us. It's just these more hyper advanced things that are out there that worry us.
Oh, good. I would like to add, since you mentioned my use of herbicide here on the property recent, I do not use herbicide regularly. It's just, I love to ground and walk barefoot on Spirit Lake property, and to do that I find it difficult to walk on thistles, which you may also if you were barefoot.
They are annoying, yes.
So,
like
yes, last week there was a section of property that completely got out of control, about 50 feet around, with thistle that I could not deal with anymore, and it spreads very quickly. So yes, I did use an herbicide on that area. It's not something I do regularly. I've only used it one time in a small amount on another area. So yes, I hate herbicide also, and maybe I can get some help from young people. Maybe some of your young people would like to pull some of them. How does that work? Do you interact in 3D with such things?
Yes. Yes, we could also have the elementals help out with that once that herbicide has cleared, which will take, to get it fully purged, roughly 8 months to a year. Mm-hmm. So it should be gone in that time frame. With those thistles, we find them annoying too. It's like walking on broken glass.
Yes.
So, because we're barefoot, so they tend to hurt and they're obnoxious. These, unfortunately, were a invasive species.
Yes.
And a construct created by somebody who thought it was funny. And so they don't necessarily belong. Yes, they come from like your Scandinavian countries and Scotland and them for the most part, and their version there do not look like this. This was engineered as something that was more against beings like ourselves and an affront to nature. This was actually a genetic scientist that did this. This was not. This was a human, but also working around and with other ET species. Now you have others that mess with plants and eugenics, like those the mushrooms that eat plastic and eat oils and can exist in salt water. We fully are endorsing things that clean up the earth like that. This was something that was planted as more of, I don't want to say practical joke, that would make it haha. This was an affront against us, Dogman, and other elementals, like say, oh, you'll step on this, it hurts. This is all that was. And I'm not saying it's not a living plant, and I'm not saying weeds aren't living plants, the ones that you consider weeds, but there are flowers like your dandelion and stuff that have medicinal purposes. There are other flowers your cabal and governments created, or not created, but said they were weeds. Like you have the term conspiracy theorists to mock your people that are awakening. The weed was to mock things that have medicinal purposes. Thistle, on the other hand, is poisonous. So, except if it is mixed with other materials to dumb that down, you can actually turn it into a healing thing. If you return it back to its original form that was from the Scandinavian countries and the Celtic countries, British Isles and such, it is actually quite medicinal, that version. This version has a bit of a toxin to it. The spikes do have a small toxin on them. Not as much as you would say like in your in the state of Arizona, where some of the plants have like nerve toxins and crap like that. No. And in Australia, you have the bugs and the spiders and stuff that have nerve toxins, the snakes and all that. It's not quite like that. It's an irritant. They know we walked around barefoot, and it was more of an affront to any of the species that walk around barefoot or naked in the environment. So yes, we fully endorse you clearing them out. They didn't belong here. But we will assist in this effort, because another way you can also assist is if you see the heads starting to form, clip them before the seeds begin to form. This is like you just see the leaves or something. This is a way to do it as well.
Well, I've done that, but they keep coming back from the roots.
Yep.
Yes, I've worked on keeping the seeds from spreading, but managing 36 acres out here, it's difficult to catch each one before they go to seed each year, and some spaces get away from me. So yes,
there are other things you can also do. Certain aspects, like if you to keep away certain bugs that would propagate these as well. That would be forms of diatomaceous earth, things of that nature. Would keep away some of it. We can help with this as well. We can actually help make it so that other things grow in its place.
Good.
Like, say, if you want to spread a bunch of dandelions, for instance, they actually will start to take up the space. Get something that's just as voracious in its growing, and that it is not invasive. Even though technically the dandelion is also an invasive, it's not a dangerous one.
Right. It's a nice plant and an edible plant.
Yes, and you can actually fill the space. If you get millions of those seeds, it will choke out the roots of the thistles. The thistles are not, they have no match for as many as the dandelions can actually. They will compete for a little while, and then one will just beat it after one. So that's also another option as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Do you have further questions?
Well, I appreciate this meeting, and I hope that we can have more open discussion with Christopher and Joanna here, and also I look forward to direct either telepathic or open conversation with myself here, because I'm the one on the front line here, the saw gunner, so to speak. But and I feel that I have communicated with you at times,
yes,
telepathically,
yes,
probably many times,
yes,
but I'm not as keenly aware of these things as Christopher is here.
Actually, you sell yourself short. You've heard our thoughts on multiple occasions. You thought they were your own ideas, and it just, your brain has not been attuned to hearing our voice, but you hear our ideas.
Right, I do, yes. And always ask for your opinion before I do anything major out here, which you're probably aware of.
Yeah, and quantum speech is more in idea and emotional form too. This is why one of your insiders said that when he walked into a room full of aliens, if you're mad, the aliens think it's about them, and you have to reground real fast. The telepathy is tricky in this area. Some beings will misinterpret, or Charles J. Hall said when he encountered the tall whites, he saw a paper sack in the desert, said he was going to rip it up and get rid of it. The tall whites at the time thought he was referring to them, and they complained to the government, and the people came back and said, "Hey, why did you threaten them?" Well, I didn't. I just said I was carrying up garbage. That happens sometimes. Mm-hmm. They're not dumb per se. It's just the form of interpreting the telepathy is different from human ideas and inflection to them sometimes. It's not that they're stupid. It's just that, okay, they can be stupid. I'm just saying that we have learned how to do this back and forth with you for a lot longer. We've been in the trenches with you longer. They have too. Just a few. There's just a small group of them that act this way. It's not all of them. And then some of them are mean. But in your case, you have, and some are wordsmiths that don't belong on this property. So, anyway, with yours, the telepathy is more than just words. It's the ideas. It is the soul, the encompassing of the idea. Like with quantum light language or quantum speak, the Untumbans use a language. They have a holographic piece of equipment that shows their language, or like the Japanese language. Each symbol is a set of ideas. They tried to interpret that. Eugene Roddenberry tried to interpret that as a Talon language, also in Earth Final Conflict, where it was just ideas representing things on a quantum level. They tried to attribute that to some of the gray species, and that's not completely accurate. But with the Untumbans, it's true, and also Titan language and some of the Atlantean languages, it is also true. It is true of some of ours as well. So when you get the telepathy, it's more than just words. It is ideas, it is feelings, it's not that we're laying down instructions per se. We are just basically speaking to you. It's more speech. It may also, don't always, if other beings are speaking to you, don't always make the conversation about yourself. It is more about the unbiased communication and unity between parties. Most people think it's about them. He likes to use the example where an alien race came to people in the Waspy book series, where they said, "Oh, we don't need to eat meat. We have replicators. We don't need to hunt. This is our way." And somebody interpreted that and made it about them and their culture, and their bias said, "Oh yeah, you're telling us not to eat meat. Thank you." It's happened a lot. And so that's why an unbiased vision, as he likes to call it, or interpretation, you must then not always apply it to yourself, but to the overall idea. This is the best way to communicate telepathically.
Cool. Okay, and I would like to bring up this thought. Since you, Segron, are an elder of elders here, and this...
Dirty elder.
Dirty elder, yes.
Dirty elder, and they laughed when you said dirty elder.
I won't comment on that. Anyhow, there's an old Bible text from a prophet in the Bible that I find interesting among some of the things that are not so interesting in that book. But it
Toilet paper.
Yes, well, I have no comment on that. It may also be good kindling. The text says, anyhow, in those days, prophesying potentially for now, they shall raise up the ancient paths, the ancient ways. In other words, the old ways will be resurrected. And I have taken that as looking at it as a positive thing,
yes,
using probably some of the ways that you may have used during Lemuria and Atlantis. To most humans would consider it magic. I don't necessarily consider it that, but we'll use the word loosely. Ways of advancing and so forth. I appreciate your input on helping to restore ancient positive ways and ways to do things what we would consider different, what you would consider normal. So that's what Spirit Lake intends to do also, is bring these back to use, like ancient healing ways, and potentially the thought has always been in my mind to have Spirit Lake, the physical body of water which I built here in front of this large cabin, to be a place of healing where I don't know in which form or matter, whether it would be using water from it or stepping into it to heal some sicknesses, and knowing that potentially there is this PowerPoint close by. Could that be done? Is that something we could consider, or at least discuss in the future?
Yes, discuss it in the future. Of course, there's some work to be done with it. Right. Of course, Shungite in it, perfectly endorse that. It'll bond with the land and clean the water more. And like your Peter the Great had the healing springs, Shungite will make it as such. You can just throw nuggets in there, do whatever you have to do, get it in bulk, throw it in there. That'd be great. It would then keep the mosquito population down. And what you also saying, bring back the old ways. This is exactly it. There is a borderline though of people will interpret it as like this massive like healing area or like a spring. You don't necessarily want that because you might get desperate people dumping their traumas into it.
Correct.
You do not want that. Very much like how you heard the stories of Stonehenge, where they found bodies around of people that were crippled, and they went there for healing, like they considered faith healers a doctor at that time. The last thing you want to be is a faith healer, like a John the Baptist type. But in this also, this unity in this area would work, both the scientific aspects and the healing aspects, because you have your slow growing academia that's out there that won't accept the paranormal side, and you have groups trying to academia please, which he's abhorrent to, but meaning that Hitler ruined it for them, thinking he had the occultists, they weren't going to go that route, because they figured they'd turn into the Nazi regime again. But it's actually those guys, the new Schwabenlanders, that are preventing that unity. That example holds because you doing what you're doing here will bring about not only a scientific curiosity after a while, but also a spiritual and energetic curiosity, minus the John the Baptist routine, which we do not endorse at all. I'm just saying, yes, people can come here to heal, get in the water, and all this other stuff, but then you don't want to attract the lame, the sick, and the crippled, coming to like the Chimayo place. This is what where you and he went, where it was the sand that refilled the hole. It was actually a piece of technology that was replicating the sand or the dirt in the hole, pre-programmed matter to keep filling the hole. That's a place in New Mexico that's attracted people being healed of like crippling injuries and brain injuries and all sorts of illnesses and sicknesses. But it's their own co-creation that's doing it, and a piece of equipment that's doing it from the ancient past, from the Lemurian period, that's being abused by the Orions. So in a different frequency dimensional state there. He saw it as a big eyeball with a Saturn ring around it under the ground, but that's what it is. A traveler went there, saw a crucifix in the ground, and it was actually that piece of equipment drawing them, or a cross in the ground, a wooden cross, and the dirt kept refilling. It was technology doing it. He would say you saw that in Doctor Who, where they moved the Earth around, that it was called the Hungry Earth, where it would swallow people into Agartha by reptilian race. That's what some of the sinkholes are too. That's what they do. Now, this place will be devoid of anything like that, because then you want the real, I don't want to say miracles, but the real energetics to show themselves. You don't want like bleeding statues and oily Bibles and people controlling them with quantum tech with the chalice of the oil Bible. You don't want that. You want, yes, Isaac, I know, Jesus Christ, yes, I understand. But in this, you want a balance of both education and energetics. You want channelings, but you also want grounded speech as well. So you will get all of this unified. Now, people that there might be also the curious seekers that show up that want proof for things. Yeah, I get that too, but there may be others that are already believing, but then can add to the science, and then you add to the spirituality, you add to the energetic. It's like that. It's at a stage where you're already in a knowing. That's not denigrating other parts of humanity, but it will. The fires of information will spread to different areas of the planet via the energy intersections. You call this the butterfly effect. That is also the same thing where somebody invents an object, and then that same idea pops up in the benevolent Akashic field for somebody in a dream or something, and then somebody thinks they've stolen it. That's that precept. But in this, or that preset, I should say, it's a major part of the physics. So if you come up with an idea, it's already somewhere else. Like you saw the Joanna, the children's book that was created that you had thought of in your head at a post office once. He uses that as an idea. That because the idea maybe unused on one end came up on another, very much like the Sasquatch statues. The original creator didn't know how to make orgo, so we guided his friend Susan to those statues so he could make the mold so that he could make the orgo. You see how the butterfly effect happens. You're starting an area, very much like in your Elder Scrolls, where this person, this wizard, tells you about a staff maker who said, the ideas were rudimentary, but then they advanced. We're not saying this is rudimentary, this is advanced. but it will advance other areas that are still in a rudimentary stage. See, it went the other direction. You see what I'm saying?
And one other question. There is, according to several psychic friends, a opening here. Some people call it a portal. Does it remain open, or does it open and close on occasion? And what would activate it? And where does it go?
It is like what my grandson said last night. He said it is an eyeball that opens and closes. It has a filter on it, but that pyramid that you guys can place over there would also act as a barrier. It represents the different dimensional layers, coming to a point, but at the same time, a shield that the iris of that eye, like he said, the Stargate portal in the show closed, and some of the enemy forces would whack into the iris, and they died in that. But this is not that dramatic. I'm just saying it acts as a filtration. It's essentially like an eye, like those eyeball stickers. It's like that. It is a different type of portal that you're used to than the whirling ones, or the square ones, or the round ones, or like even the ones from Interstellar, where it's a 3D circle. It's a sphere kind of wormhole. They showed wormholes or spheres in that. As my grandson said, it's not like the soul trap spheres where the Aristotelian worldview. It is an actual portal, or like the star sun portals and such. Yours is like that, but with an eye that opens and closes. It's not always open. The crack you found was different. That was an intrusion. This is more like an eye looking around and then close. Eye looking around and close. That's what it does.
Okay, is it also a portal? And if so, does it go somewhere? If so, does it go to where the traveler would wish to go, or does it just go to a certain spot?
It is a portal, but does it go to a certain spot every time? No. It's with the times of year, where you're approaching. You're going to be approaching Halloween, here soon. That is the most active time of year, and it will be extremely active at that time. And other things have tried to take the other end of the portal and attach it to the area. Think of it as a rotating gear set, where different times of year are a different set of coordinates. Elaine and Vessa's in the Valley of Fire is that way. Sometimes it will be time synced more at certain times of year and desynced more at other times of year. You have the cross quarter times, and you have the alignment times of year, like the solstices and whatnot. The solstice, the winter solstice, will be a powerful point as well. Same thing with the summer solstice and the equinoxes and such. Halloween the most, but it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means it can be closed for longer periods during the year and not open as much. Or closer to Halloween, it's nearly open a lot. You see. And then it'll taper off a little, close around your winter solstice or Christmas time, open, and then it'll be open, close, open, close, open, close, other times of the year. It's the busiest time of the year is approaching. There you have the fall equinox, Halloween, and the holiday season, which would be your Christmas, or the 21st, which would be the winter solstice. So that it does connect. You can, if you step through it, like it would be almost like it's face down. But if you went to it, on the other end, you'd be standing up and going into an environment. And what is that environment? It can be, how can I describe this in English vernacular? Yes, we could be on the other end of that in our frequency. It is more of a dimensional space. Introverse, yes, you could say that. Introverse is a worlds within worlds. Will it dial another world? No. It is to a wooded area that looks exactly like what you're standing in, but a different frequency space. We managed to, how can I put it, claim the rotation to where it doesn't have like a dial home device like in Stargate. It just goes to the frequency area where we happen to be, and elementals and such cross it. So we have made it so that a lot of these negative entities and such do not use it.
Okay. Is this something that I need to be concerned about? Like if I walk across it at the wrong time, I might get sucked into a different dimension. Also, some people like to camp in that portal, and is that safe?
It's perfectly fine. You would have to literally be attuned to a particular wavelength to cross into it. You'd have to, how can I put this? No insult to anyone, but it's, you're not at the stage yet where you could just step into it.
Right. That makes sense, yes.
I mean, yes, of course, you're welcome to come to our into the frequency where I'm at. It's just that, like Elaine and Bess would say, you also in their portal would have to get cleansed of toxins and stuff. That's more of a this is a physical dimension. Theirs is as well, a pocket, but at the theirs is a world pocket. Same difference in this case, but you're at a stage where that's not completely possible right now.
Okay. Also, can other entities pass into this reality through that portal, or do you guard it, or what's going on there?
Answer yes to both questions.
Good.
Because yes, they can, but no, they won't.
Okay.
It's like say if you had a lock on your cabin, that's not for anybody to come in. That's for you to come in, unless somebody tries to break and enter. If that case, they just let's just say they're escorted off the property.
Good.
We can't always be around we can't always do it per se. This is why somebody in your dimension here and frequency is needed on this end of the spectrum. We used to do this in the ancient past, where some of us that were in the different frequencies would get assist or have assistance, but that chain broke after a while. This is also where unity is involved. Now, like I said, the younger people are more in your frequency. We have the ability to phase in and out. We could show up, and you would see us, but you probably would not like the reaction to your body.
Right. Yeah.
Because your head would feel like it's going to explode. So we do not want this. Poseidon said this too, but he was being slightly over dramatic. But it's like the story of two of our people sitting in a temple with the Tibetan monk in silence and in calm, or in calm, and he still was having a tough time. This is where if we did this enough, slowly like that, you would become acclimated, and you would be able to cross between. It's just humans are not used to that because they've been so far removed from it for so long. But we aim to change this. But this is why these PowerPoints are important, because people would get acclimated. You see, this is why an overabundance of the Tower Busters would do harm at the moment. It's the same effect, you see, where if we stepped in the room, it'd be like, you would even putting the thumb on the forehead. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. See, his mother Katrina, when Fuma came around and put his hand on her shoulder, she felt that hand for a couple of weeks. He apologized for that, but he was more phased into your frequency at the time when he touched her. It was that same effect. So it is not completely, I don't want to say completely possible, because it is. Mm-hmm. But right now you would be uncomfortable. It would not be the spiritual experience you were wanting. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. And it would bring about a cellular catharsis, and that could cause stroke, blood pressure issues, all of it. We do not wish this. This is why when there's a bunch of us around, you feel the pressure. That's the effect. And we are dumbing that back a little bit as it is. And this is why when we're inhabiting him, we had to get rid of some toxins and accumulated health issues and such. And we fixed it temporarily. It's up to him to fix more. But we were able to sustain this, and him being in nature actually helped a great deal as well. This helps with that frequency, but again, you would not like the cellular catharsis that took place. If one of myself walked in the room, it would not be cool. No.
Understand? Yes. Thank you.
So, any further questions from the peanut gallery?
You good? I'm really glad you had that conversation. I do have one question. Curiosity about the greater area here, beyond here, and because, as you mentioned, there are other groups, other elders, other people, around. So my curiosity is, tell me what you think about not just, of course, your wonderful relationship with Chad and what's going on. But how are other humans doing in the area? Because the one thing I've never heard Chad mention was any sort of supportive Sasquatch grouping of this area by people that are having experiences. So what's going on in this greater area with Sasquatch and humans?
Oh yeah, people have spotted us. Some of us tend to be, you say, preverts or perverts and look in the windows. Those are some of the special among us. But no, I kid. We will look in windows too. And people have experienced this. They've seen the orbs. They've seen all of this. They've experienced this quite prolifically in this area. Most do not talk about it. People are still in a stage where if it's something different than they have been taught, they tend to have a catharsis of their own. Very much like his great-grandmother saw a UFO and it bothered her because of more of a Christian or Catholic background. You'll run into that in some of these, I don't want to be insulting, more backwoods areas in some cases, or in these little communities where they just can't handle that. But in order to build that bridge, we have made ourselves visible to people briefly. There are some of the young ones that are, like himself, more of a bulldozer going, I'll show them what I look like. I will show them what I can do, and how do you like that? And that ends up with a spiritual catharsis that, unfortunately, at times have ended up as suicide. Like your Roddenberry said, people, when they were exposed to aliens and they were of religious groups, they killed themselves in weird ways, emulsification with fire hanging, all this other stuff. That has happened with alien encounters and, of course, encounters with our people. This is not intentional. We have told the young people, reel it back a little bit. We don't want that. As, say, absent-minded as some people can be, or rigid in beliefs people can be, they have to come to that catharsis on their own. Do we build the bridge slightly to show ourselves a little bit to people that were already thinking about changing? Yes. Do we do it willy-nilly to anyone? No. This is reckless. This exposes our people, and from their beliefs, they would think it's like a devil or demon, or let's say this is evil. Some groups have labeled us that, like in China, for instance, and other parts of Russia, they call us mink or demonic hairy person, or the Vikings said hairy demon, but that was the only word that Leif Erikson and Eric Red had. We forgive that one a little bit. I'm more related to. They're actually, truth be told, they're related to an extent, and also Odin's people. But in the groups in the area, have we found people that have spoke telepathically? Yes, we have. Have we come to them in dreams? Yes, we have. We wanted to get the Fuma calls it the flinch test, or Seymour and all them call it the flinch test. Have we shown ourselves in that way? Yes, and people have freaked. But some people have been equally as curious. Now, do we get the screamers in the woods looking for us? Yes, we do. In this state and Virginia, yes. That aside, we are still open to the unity. My grandsons might find the yelling annoying, which it is, but there's a bridge at least being built, you see. So they might find it obnoxious, I understand, yes. But at the same time, overall in the area, receptivity has been a mixed bag.
Well, thank you. I was just curious. I don't know if you were, because I just never heard you ever speak of that. So, in general, I think this has been wonderful, and of course, we plan to be back to be able to facilitate more conversations. If you don't have any further questions, Chad, I think maybe this would be good. Let you have your last words of whatever you would like to bring through for this session, and then we will talk to you again.
Yes, last seems permanent. It's
doing that to me.
Yes, I know. Last rides last. All that. Yes, it's an Orion joke that we try to throw ha at it, but they incorporated the idea in people that there was an end in some sort or fashion, and people figured death and giving last rites, giving the rights away. Yeah, it's more of a joke, but it's actually serious in some areas. But yes, we would welcome yourselves out here again in October. We hurried along the August because we wanted this communication and wanted to build that energy and bridge and show you guys this aspect of nature out here. That's why we had Chad want to pull out the ball bat to get you here. But this has been interesting for myself. Normally I'm not this chatty. If you saw me, I would just be standing there very stoic-like, but every now and again make a face or say something humorous. But this is the most chatty I've been in decades, or even centuries. The last group of people I spoke to like this were Native American. So, this has actually been a treat for myself to find this level of communication. It's usually been my grandsons that have been the prolific communicators and their children. We have a fairly large family tree, you know, not unlike, say, Genghis Khan. So, not quite that much. Or like Zeus, or like the multiple children, or things of that nature. Odin, we'll just say, all of his many layers of relatives that can be traced back to him. With multiple wives and such, I might add. I don't actually do that, but making fun of the forces out there and the non-corralling of Odin's bastard child there. And you get the idea. But I could go on and on with the speech. Dragons love the speech talk, like in Skyrim too. They're like, we don't get to converse often and we love to talk kind of thing. They will do that. It's been a long time. So we thank you for this interaction and look forward to this being posted. Now, you may get some attention from some people also comment-wise and wanting to see this place again. Tighter circle, deeper roots. Always. This is where we agree with Odin on that. So, thank you. I will detach now. Yeah, all right.
Well, that was interesting.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that there is a dragon here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a titan. They're titans essentially. So, from the old world. Yeah.
It would be interesting to communicate with the dragon later. Also, there is a girl, I don't know if you've met her, from Journey to Truth in Charleston, here from the Carolinas too, Abby Lynn, who communicates with dragons and works with dragons. She might find that interesting. Because your people are more the forest people, right?
Okay.
I think it would be interesting to see different viewpoints on this, you know, different interactions with different entities, and there are people that also interact with, you know, the fairies, and that's our unity thing, is to get different viewpoints, and they won't all be the same viewpoint, of course. And that's one thing I've had to adjust to, like having, you know, religious people come out here that have their viewpoints, but you know, their points are valid to them, and let them know also, you know.
That's why the forest people, what Sagron was saying, they attempted to build. They've attempted that with those people before. It usually ends up not good if they overstep it.
Right. Yeah.
But there's no reason of not trying a unity again.
Puritanical people would end up
do.
that way too. They attempted it in that age, doing it didn't end up
No,
well.
it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work out good.
Bad time frame to do that in the Salem witch trial. Bad time to do that in. But they're like, no shit. Okay, so yeah, the people, when they had buckles on the hats, they tended to be extremely anal retentive. So it's like,
Right.
And David the dragon said, next time. I will talk, but not, I think, today, he said. So, he's fairly big too. Okay. I'm seeing a gigantic face here. Okay. No shit. I'm a dragon. I'm big. Okay. All right. I live underground and I eat shit. Okay. And they're like, you eat shit? That's disgusting. Okay. So now they're doing this. Okay. They could do that forever. We're not going to do that right now. But okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes. Fist bumping. Yeah, I know. Okay. That was the dragon that did that. I'll get my chance next time. Okay. And so will other Sasquatch. Okay. I eat interlopers and robbers and all that other stuff. Okay. Yeah, I get it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching this wonderful set of episodes we did for the world of Sasquatch. We love being on Chad's property here on Spirit Lake, and it's been very peaceful here, despite some of the little things that have happened. Great. So, I'm now closing this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing and watching this and liking this. Bye-bye now.
We're at the portal at Spirit Lake Interstellar Life.
Yeah. And I'm going to put some crumb nails in here. These are the crumb nails. Alright. These are crumb nails. And I'm putting them in the portal of Spirit Lake. What the Sasquatch we're talking about, Stegron and them we're talking about. There's one at the tip of the port. And I will do the other two. And, oh, this end right here. There you go, for people. And okay, I gotta get the stone.
Did you bring the pyramid?
Oh, did you grab the pyramid, Chad?
No, no one grabbed it.
Oh, that needs to go over here. Yeah, that needs
Yeah.
to go over here.
I will go grab it.
Okay. Place some crystals in here. And put this wood we found in there. Your pyramid, sir. Oh, only okay. One. What? Huh? What is that? Oh, yeah. How many of them? This one. Oh, okay. Still both. Okay. This one here. And oh, no. You want the glitter one here? If you want to use that one. Okay. And this one. On what rock? This one. This one. That one. So this is the portal which they were talking about. The wood was from where was the wood from? The piece of wood.
Oh, that's from Lake Waccamaw.
Lake Waccamaw. Okay, pyramid, the one they were talking about with the purple top and the red. We put the other pyramid at the end. The wood there, crystals, and the crumb nails at the ends of the portal. I have 4. There's 2 at the end, 2 there. Thank you all. I am closing this circle at the moment. So it is 12:51 Eastern, 12:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, August 18th, 2024. Thank you.